What is up, my little lovers? Welcome back to this week's episode where we are going to be talking about how to train that gag reflex. Well, I'm going to teach you step by step on how to train your gag reflex from like piping down instead of piping up, because let's face it, you know exactly why you clicked on this video. You want to amplify your head game, your BJ game, your throat game. You want to be the throat goat, but you have one small problem and a really big enemy, and that is your gag reflex. Well, fear no more, honey. I will have you taking throat missiles like an absolute god or goddess, whatever one you want to be. But for today, I am going to teach you my throat game tricks, meaning I'm going to teach you how to keep it in there without bringing up your last meal. The beautiful thing about the bedroom is that you do not need to have class. You have to have class to get to the bedroom, but you don't need to have class in the bedroom. So let's get nasty. But first, I want to add a little bit of a disclaimer here. You do not have to do anything you don't want to, and you should never be forced or pressured into doing something. So if you are here just to grab information and try to digest to see if this is something you can do or that you actually want to do, bless, you are so welcome to stay. However, if you are here because your partner is forcing you to watch this or wants this and you don't want anything to do with it, honey, please exit stage left, because I don't want to do this to you. I want you to be like, hell yes, Miranda, I want to try this. I'm excited to try this. If I don't like it, whatever, it's okay. If I do like it, bless. There's other things and other ways that you can get your partner off. You don't have to deep throat. It's not for everybody. We want consent, communication, and comfortability, okay? We need a safe signal. Obviously, our mouth is very much so very, very, very full. So you want to pick a signal that you can do to your partner with your hands, or the fear in your eyes he might portray as like pleasure fear, and it can be really confusing and complicated. For me personally, I'm gonna be real with you, mine is straight up a pinch. But a quick and effective way to stop the BJ or the deep throating from happening is by just pinching my partner's leg or his butt cheek. Straight up, he knows that's our sign that this is no more. This is a no-go. I just need to come up for some air here and wipe away some of these tears. So make sure you have a safe signal. Okay, so now let's tackle our very first enemy, which is the gag reflex. But what exactly is the gag reflex? Usually this reflex is triggered when something hits the back of your throat, i.e. your boyfriend's. But it doesn't need to be triggered by something slamming into the back of your throat. It could be something just as easy or as simple as brushing your teeth, eating like a popsicle or a banana, you name it. The gag reflex can be triggered by even your tongue just touching the back of your throat. It can also be triggered by something hitting the roof of your mouth, hitting your tonsils. There are so many things that can bring the gag reflex forward and create those little spasms that we experience in that god-awful sound that sometimes sounds hot. But that is essentially what we are trying to learn how to avoid. We want to avoid those spasms or the gag reflex from kicking in. If you want to be a throat goat, you have to learn how to desensitize that whole area, or baby girl, you are never gonna make it out here. But it's all G because we have time and we're gonna need time to train it. That's unfortunately just the reality. Some things there are not just a quick fix. You cannot duct tape this or you will not pass go. And we want to make this pleasurable. We don't want to make this traumatizing. This should not be a traumatic event, and when you're training, this shouldn't be traumatizing either. So make sure you listen to your body and you move very slow and cautiously. But we are going to be desensitizing the back of our throat, so that way when things touch it or touch our tonsils or the roof of our mouth, that we are not experiencing that whole chain of events. Now I know some of you want me to show you how to do it at the same time, and unfortunately here I cannot do that because that is definitely against community guidelines, which I know there's probably men watching this hoping that I will just do the demo right now, but I'm not going to, so you can also leave. But if you get off and hear me talk about it, then let's go, let's do this. And for those of you who are actually here to learn, let's start learning. Obviously, in order to train our reflex, we need to have some sort of tool. And you can use something as convenient as your finger, your toothbrush, or you can actually use a dildo. However, if you're really sensitive, I don't actually recommend going a full-blown into using a dildo because that might just be a little bit much for some. So if you're on the more sensitive side, definitely stick with your finger or a toothbrush. Honestly, I think a toothbrush is kind of the easiest because you are doing that 2 to 3 times a day anyway, so you really won't forget. But essentially, you wanna make sure whatever you are using, it is clean, it is safe, it is sterile, and it is not gonna injure you or the back of your throat, okay? Okay. Pretty easy, right? So we're gonna take our set item and we are slowly gonna be edging it to the back of our throat. Now, you do not have to go to the back of your throat right away. Honestly, you can start really near the front. As soon as that gag reflex kicks in, that's gonna be where your starting point is. So it's kind of like stretching. You're going to ease into the stretch. You're not just gonna fold over and tear it because that's how issues happen and that's how, in this case, we could actually like vomit or something. And we don't want to do that. Like I said, pleasure, not trauma. Slow and steady wins the race. So we are edging slowly to the back of your throat, whatever that looks like for you. So obviously it will eventually trigger the gag reflex. And when this happens, you actually want to stay exactly where you are. I want you to try and suppress it, take a couple of breaths, and keep the item in the exact same spot. Here, you're gonna maintain breathing through your nose because obviously you need to be able to breathe through your nose. But I really need you to drop into your body and really tune in. So focus on that breath in your nose, and I need you to consciously think about relaxing the back of your throat. Now hear me out. I know right now this sounds like a really long time, but I need you to hold it here for at least 10 seconds. It will go by so fast. But you notice how I'm saying I need you to hold it there rather than I need you to move it back and forth or in and out, because I actually don't want you moving this object until like 2 to 3 weeks in. Then we're gonna start adding some movement. But right now we are just chilling in the same spot, learning how to breathe and consciously relaxing of our throat. It will get easier over the next coming weeks. And then once you become more comfortable with that, you can slowly start to go a little bit further and progress. Once you are at the back of your throat or near, you can slowly start to then move it in and out. Just try. Don't force anything that doesn't feel right yet. We have time. Now, unfortunately, the first few times that you try this out, it's most likely gonna trigger that gag reflex because of the high amount of stimulation that's happening. Stay calm, breathe, and relax those spasms. Once you have officially moved to the next phase where you can consistently take that deep dildo into the back of your throat without coughing constantly, gagging, or convulsing, you have graduated to the next step, which is exactly where you want to be, because now you need your man, and your man has most likely been waiting for this day, and hopefully you have to. However, when we add them in, we need to be on the same page, which means we need a good amount of communication, because that man has got to understand that this is not an easy task. It is actually difficult. It involves you being very much so present in your body if he wants this to work, and he does want this to work. So he needs to put his pleasure a little bit to the side, but also sit back and relax. Essentially, you might need to say to him bluntly, because a lot of the time men need to hear it blunt or they just don't get it, that, hey babe, I actually just need to be in the lead right now. I need you just to sit there, chill, and don't move. This is very important. We do not need him thrusting. So I actually don't necessarily recommend a standing position for when you are starting out, because it's really hard not to want to thrust into your partner's throat. Trust me, I have seen this and heard about this multiple times. So the best way to do this is have your man sitting down or laying flat on his back. Like I said, this is gonna limit that hip motion and that thrusting motion that he oh so badly wants to do. Okay, but I couldn't make this video without giving you guys some tips to hold it down for right now. So I'm just gonna give you 2 little things that you can do In the meantime, while you're giving your partner brain or top or whatever you guys want to call it. First things first, if you want to give him that effect without actually taking him all the way to the back of your throat, flip your tongue like this. This will give them the sensation that they are kind of hitting the back of your throat, and it won't actually allow you to take them in the whole way. However, it is not the same, but it is as close as you can get to it, sweetie, okay? Now, the second thing to know is that, yes, even I still gag. However, I gag in a controlled way, meaning, yeah, I know when to pull back, because there is gonna be a point where it's just gonna be too much and you need to come up and get some air and regulate. And also, it doesn't feel good to be deep throat the whole way through. This is just something that you want to add in to like spice it up, just like adding your hand in or tongue tricks or any other BJ tip or tool. However, if you are noticing that maybe you just ate a little bit too much, or maybe today the gag reflex is popping off just a little bit more, this is a trick that is known to work. I don't even remember where I learned this from, but essentially you want to take your thumb, tuck it into your hand, and then pull down and make a fist so it looks like this. I don't know why it works. I should probably look up. It's gotta probably do something with like Chinese medicine or some alternative medicine, but this actually works. It works for you not gagging, and just trust. Then by the time you complete your training and you have this technique, you, my girl, are going to be a throat goat. And honestly, that is a badge of honor in the bedroom, okay? I think so. And honestly, I don't even want to hear from anybody who says anything else, because that is negativity, and we don't like that vibe very much, actually, at all. Take that out there. Anyways, you know the drill. You know what to do. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure you comment down below if you have any other tips or tricks to help the community out. Keep it nice. I don't want to hear those negative comments or anything trashing me or any other woman out there or men. Like, honestly, pipe down. But I will see you guys next week for another episode, and that is going to be on the best BJ positions ever, forever.